Thank you for joining me. I'm gonna fetch Asia. Hello.
Oh,
Hi. Thank you so much for being here.
aw, thank you for having me.
Asia, it's my absolute pleasure. I couldn't be more excited to talk to you. A, just because I wanted to see your face and catch up with you again. And B, because this is such an amazing subject and we have so many questions. I'm sure you've gotten a bunch too, about the subject of spirit guides. And listening to your episode again, I listened to it before it went up a couple of days before. And it just moved me all over again. I don't know if you've heard it yet.
I haven't. Well, truth be known, I got the episode this morning, and it's been a bit of a crazy fucking day, obviously.
To say the least.
Yeah, so I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, but I'm going to. And all I know is that I always love talking to you. I always love connecting to you. I think you're incredibly gifted, incredibly talented, incredibly warm, and incredibly inclusive. So I could not be happier to be here today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And just acknowledging what you just said, the couple of days that we've had in a year, in a decade, in a century, um, we really can't like overstate how important it is for everybody who's watching this or may watch it later to offer your support where you can in the ways that you can. The Minnesota Freedom Fund is bailing out the people that are on the streets right now fighting for justice, and any money that you can spare would be greatly appreciated and put to use in all the best possible ways. So if you're watching this, you're a spiritual person and you know what you have to do, and everybody appreciates it. So don't feel helpless. That's the last thing that anyone needs right now.
Absolutely. And there's a fund on for rebuilding Lake Street that I think is really important as well, to rebuild the businesses that have been burned. And there's a lot that we can do, and that's the great thing. There's always a lot that we can do. So thank you for putting some attention on it, and you know, all of you that are watching this, would do whatever you can. And if you can't donate money, again, there's always something else to be done. We are not helpless. We refuse to be helpless.
Absolutely. Not an option.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about spirit guides. Lovely. I want to start with, we talked about it a little on the podcast episode, which I should say is the podcast Beyond Belief. Our episode's out today, wherever you get your podcasts. And you talked about how you first discovered and developed these gifts, but a lot of people were asking how they can develop these gifts themselves and initially make contact with their spirit guides. So I wonder if you wouldn't mind like elaborating a little on your story of how you first discovered that you had this ability and what that was like, and how you explored it more.
Okay. Yes. So that's like, there's several parts to that question, but I'll start by saying, after I saw, there was a practitioner who I went to visit when I was living in Brooklyn, who actually introduced me to my spirit guides. I didn't know what spirit guides were. After that, I was intrigued and I began doing my own work with it, which basically started just making sure I was meditating every single day, pulling cards every single day, not necessarily to connect with my guides, helped me through my depression, and also helped me connect to my own psychics. Through that repetitive work, through that showing up every day, beyond memories that came back to me from my childhood of my connection to the dead and to the other side, I began to, oh, I just froze. Am I frozen where you are?
Yeah, you are, but I can hear you fine.
You can
It's
hear me,
kind of
great.
got a waiting signal. You're back.
So, through that work, through showing up and pulling cards every day, and through, really making a point to connect to myself and to open my, my crown chakra up and receive whatever was whatever is up there and available for me to download. My clairvoyance and my clairaudience began to kick in, specifically my clairaudience. And when I began to hear, I didn't know who I was hearing necessarily, but through that work, through activating and continue to expand my clairaudience and through automatic writing as well, I began to connect more with my spirit guides, really learn who they were. And honestly, like, they told me to do something, I did
it. Yeah. So pulling cards and automatic writing are tools that you use to uncover your gifts, and there's still ones that you use right now. Is that fair?
Every single day. Yeah, I use the Spirit Speak Vessel deck because the words are just really simple. And what I always tell people is we're trying to activate conversation and communication with the other side and with our guides. We're trying to have a conversation, and the simpler the words are, the easier it is to begin to build off of that. So I would start very simply with after meditation, just asking, what is it you want me to know? And I would pull 3 cards, and with the 4th card being the theme. And I still do that every day with clients. And then as I'm pulling those cards, I'm speaking to them out loud. I'm activating that connection. So if I pull the card, trust, I might say, I do need to work on trusting myself more. I really do need to activate that more. What do you have to say about that? And I'll pull another card, and it might say forgiveness. And I'll say, you're right. I need to forgive myself for not being as far as I thought I already, should be. At this point, really activating that conversation, strengthening that connection, and really leaning into the energy that I'm feeling. And this again, before, I was hearing them speak, but it's a tool I still utilize now when I'm feeling blocked and as though I can't really connect.
I love you explaining the back and forth that goes on, because I tend to think that a lot of people come to this work with the expectation that they're just going to receive this huge, a biblical download without having to really do anything to receive it. But you're really saying it's more like prompts, and it's like building blocks.
Yes, all of this is building. All of this is exercise. It's a practice. That's why it's called practice. You have to practice, and I committed to it every single day. And of course, we're always comparing. When I started this, I was like, why can't I, I don't know, see spirits everywhere all the time, and that was before my clairvoyance kicked in. But, we're all seeing and hearing in different ways. So it's also about, really leaning into what whether it's clairaudience, clairvoyance, clairsentience, what gift am I already feeling connected to, so that you can strengthen that specific gift and expand on it, knowing that the others can follow after.
And so that would kind of be the gift that maybe you feel comes the most naturally.
Exactly.
Yeah. Even just with tarot, for example, I think I'm a very cerebral person, and I'm also kind of a visual learner. So tarot's always made sense for me. And it doesn't necessarily have to be more complicated than that. It's almost just pick one and observe. And then, as you say, they tend to be so interconnected that they'll sway together anyway, and you'll probably uncover more than one along the journey.
Oh, absolutely. I was shocked when, after working of clairaudience for a while, that I would start to see images when people were talking. I was like, oh, whoa, what was that? I don't know what that is. What's that? It's really, really about deciding that you truly want to commit in any way to the connection, accepting the process, and being patient with how it unfolds.
I love that. Someone asked, how do I know if my guides are with me? Meaning, signs and signals. How can I trust that my guides want to come through?
Well, the first thing is that your guides are already there. So they're always there. That doesn't mean that, and they can be multiple places at once as well. So the idea of how do I know, are my guides there? They are there. Maybe they're not all there at the same time, but you're never alone, ever, ever, ever. Even when you're taking a pee, they're there. So it's true. It's totally true. So when you're watching that movie on TV, one of your guides is definitely there watching it with you. So it's really about opening yourself up to signs if you're actually looking for confirmation. And that could be waking up in the morning and saying, I'd like to see a hummingbird today. Send me a hummingbird, so I know that you're here. And obviously, like, let's be real. Don't ask to see a hummingbird in the dead of winter if you're living in New York City. Let's be, or maybe, actually, I just heard maybe you could. Maybe you'll see a sticker or see a photo of a hummingbird, but you're really activating and saying, I am open to receiving versus prove that you're there to me.
Mm-hmm. That's a big, big differentiation. Yes. Mm-hmm. Somebody asked about how you pick a card. Right now, they're letting, you know, when you shuffle and a card falls out, they're picking that one. But is that how you work?
I started very, now I will just shuffle them, you know, normally. And then actually I'll just pull the first three at the top. They'll tell me when to stop and then I pull the first three. But
I do that too. Yeah.
Is that how you do it?
Yeah.
But in the beginning, when I was really working on, I became obsessed with like activating whatever I could. I would spread my deck out completely, either on the floor if I was sitting on the floor or on a table on a flat surface, and I would hold my hand on top of the cards, and then I would say, I asked to connect to my guides and my guides alone. And then I would say, I allow my guides and my guides alone to move my hand because I want to make sure I'm only connecting to them. And you'll feel the energy begin to build up in your hand, and you allow your hand to move where they want it to move, or even moving my arm now, and you'll pick the cards that way. And that way you're also activating and strengthening your connection to the other side and to them in general, and just building up that trust and boundaries and all of those things that you need in order to really create a wonderful partnership between yourself and your guides.
Yeah. So another person asked about, I guess, confirmation bias and how they know that their signs or messages from their guides are actually from their guides and they're not just confirming their own hopes or fears.
That's a really great question, and I get it a lot. First of all, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's from yourself or from your guides, because that's the first thing, because any information you're receiving is information that your subconscious needs to know. Your subconscious is telling you so that your conscious mind can activate it and work from it. So that's the first thing. If you are set on, okay, I got that, I really want to connect to, you know, my spirit guides, you have to really trust that that's what's happening. First of all, you have to really, you can always ask them and I don't know if this works for everybody, but for me, and I might have talked about this in our interview, I will say, because I you know, I'm hearing stuff, I'll ask, is that me or is that you? And they'll say us, or there'll be silence. And, you know, I know it's me, but it's really what you're talking about is figuring out what your language of communication is with them. So you could say, let me have another example. If you're in a meditation and you are, I'm going to go on a spirit guide meditation. There's someone guiding it. And I'm not sure if what I'm seeing is, you know, messages from the other side or my own imagination. You can always try to change the scenario of what you're seeing. So if you're seeing a great, you know, golden gate, try to change it to a wooden gate. If it changes to a wooden gate, it's your imagination. That doesn't mean the message isn't as powerful. If it keeps flipping back to that golden gate, then that is the message from the other side. That is something else that's coming through.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And what do you do when it comes to like psychic protection and feeling like what you're receiving is coming from, you know, a loving and safe place?
I do a lot of psychic protection because when I first started, I did not know what protection was. So every morning when I wake up, at first I call my energy back into my body from wherever it's been during the night. And then before I see clients, I protect myself. I imagine like a white bubble around myself. I ground my roots into the center of the earth. I tell my guides that we're about to work together. And then before I go to bed at night, I plant my roots again from my spine into the center of the earth. I imagine myself covered, and my partner and my pups covered in white light. And then I actually tell I have a whole thing, honestly. I say, what do I say? I say, I ask my spirit guides, ancestors, masters, teachers, and loved ones, galactic beings, fairies, and the like, protect me from any negative energy, psychic attack, low vibrational entities, LVEs, and the fallen. Then I send my animal guides, my tiger, to walk the property and bathe everything in white light. It's like a whole thing. because of the amount of work that I do. But if we're just talking about, you know, basic protection, I always recommend holding black tourmaline, sleeping with black tourmaline under your pillow. Before this pandemic, before I would walk out the door, I would protect myself. I protect myself in the car. There's a lot you can do depending on the level that you're at. But honestly, you can also just do it with a thought, protect myself. You know, I'm protecting myself, any negative energy, whatever works. You don't have to all be as intense as me.
Yeah. I love that though. You know, I think a lot of people are like, what do I need? What stuff? And it's like, your mind is the most powerful thing you have.
Yeah.
So somebody was to kind of asking about like how you see spirit guides, as in what kind of entities they are, if you put labels on them in such a way: ancestors, elementals, animals, fairies, you name it. Like, spirit guides are so diverse and personal in that way. So do you have like a view on that?
I believe that, so some people will come in and say, you know, I've heard some mystics say, they don't believe spirit guides can be anyone that's been related to us. I don't believe that. Spirit guides are energy that we've decided, you know, before we're incarnated, that they're going to help us fulfill whatever it is, our purpose, certain missions in this life. They can absolutely be people we've known in past life. They could have lived on this earth. They could be galactic energy. I believe absolutely they can, it runs the gamut. The unifying factor is that they are here 100% for us. There is no judgment. They only wish to help us. And that means there can be some tough love there. But in terms of, I really do believe that the type of energy they are is, it really can't be labeled.
Yeah. Yeah. We may not have the words.
Yeah, I don't always have the words. I know that for me, like, two of my guides, one of them was a husband of mine, another one was a brother. I definitely have some galactic guides that I work with as well, but they come in and out sporadically depending on where I am currently in my life. But again, we've chosen them before we're incarnated, and they're here just to help us, you know, learn.
Somebody asked, and I don't even know exactly what this question is getting at, but you talking about tough love reminded me. Somebody asked, do our spirit guides always have our best interests at heart?
Yes, always. If you're feeling an energy, or if you're hearing something like that you think is your guide saying you're a loser, you're a fucking idiot, you'll never succeed, that's not your spirit guide. I definitely have heard my guides say, aren't you tired of like doubting yourself? Or don't you want to, like, do you really want to do that? You know, there's definitely like, you know, or they'll say, you know, hey, you said you were going to do this. Have you done? But it's all out of love. They can be fiery, but they're never going to tear you down.
Yeah, kind of like a firm but fair maternal tone, maybe.
Yeah.
And yeah, I actually did get a lot of questions from people asking whether spirit guides were people that they had known while they were alive. It seems like a lot of people have that experience, probably as well as other things going on. Do you have a view on whether our loved ones, you know, take on the role of being spirit guides for some people?
I think that from my experience, I can only speak from my experience, I think that if you have a loved one that's passed on, they can come in as a guide, you know, for a time. But I do believe, I always think about, like, you know, spirit guides, that's their job. Like, they signed up for that. You know, that's the job that in the moment we're born, and the moment it's on through that rainbow back. So it's very different. We can have other people that we've known come in to give us guidance or advice, but it's just very different. Like, it's just a different level of commitment to the work that we're doing here together.
Yeah. I also just wonder, and I can't remember if I asked you this on the podcast. I'm sure I may have, but I'm going to ask you again. What's, for you, in your life, in your experience with your spirit guides, what's the biggest benefit, you know, that you've received from having a relationship with your spirit guides? Like, how has it enriched your life?
I mean, they've completely changed my life, but the big thing, because we did talk about this on the podcast, I began connecting to them after like a very long, depression. Is the sorry, it's gonna get me emotional, but it's the truth of that we're not alone. We're never alone. They're always there. When we feel as though we don't want to go on, when we feel as though this world is burning, which it is right now, when we feel as though we just can't take that other step, when we're heartbroken, they're right there with us. We are never, ever, ever alone. And that was life-changing for me, because I definitely felt alone quite often. But now I know, however horrible I'm feeling, like I've had tantrums, I've like screamed, I've cried. And then, when I was first getting to know them, being able to talk to them and to feel their love. I remember this is when I was working retail. I was working retail and starting this business at the same time. And I was like working, I think I worked every day for 365 days. I was just like a wreck. And I remember one day just like straightening a rack of clothes and just feeling this overwhelming sense of just like, I just can't do this. And this immense warmth just went from the top of my head all the way down to my body. And it was amazing. I knew it was them just giving me like a momentary relief. And I was like, oh, that's what it's like, whether you can feel that or not. They're just always there, ready to just give you that wave of relief and love. And it's unconditional.
That's so lovely. Oh, I love it. I feel so warm and fuzzy. You're a little bit frozen, but I can see your spinning wheel spin. You're back.
Sorry if you can hear my dog.
I want to ask. That's okay. I love that. I love a good barking dog in the background. My dog is always going off. So if people have other questions, I would invite them to comment. But in the meantime, I'm going to ask you like just a little bit about your work. And like, you have Spirit House Collective, which actually has a lot of beautiful tentacles coming off it now. So like, what do you do? And like, how can people find you? Because I didn't actually ask that in a podcast. It's like one of those cliche questions, but I don't do that for some reason on mine. So this is it.
So I am, a lot of people know me as a spirit guide coach, which basically I'm a life coach and a medium. So my work involves spending about an hour and a half with each client. This is what I do all day. And what we do is we talk to each individual's, their spirit guides, their spiritual team, and we basically create plans of, where they want to go alongside the blueprint that their guides already have for them. We discuss patterns and belief systems that are no longer working, and their guides actually pass on their own advice from what they know that each client, each individual actually hopes to achieve in this lifetime. It's really, really beautiful work. And I also now have been integrating past life regression in that to make sure that people can receive closure from whatever lingering patterns or belief systems from previous lifetimes are still actually active in their current one.
I love that. I need to come back and I want to do a past life regression with you.
And we'll figure it out.
Yes. We have a question on recommended reading. You actually recommended me an amazing book, not necessarily about spirit guides, but do you have any spirit guide reading suggestions?
That's so funny. So what was the book that I recommended to you? Do you remember?
You recommended You Are Psychic, which is about clairvoyancy.
I don't actually, hold on one second. I'm just going to tell them to stop barking. Stop it. Stop it. They're looking at my partner like walking back and forth in the yard.
They're so cute.
Actually, what's interesting? When I started doing this work, I actually made a point to not read anything about spirit guides or about channeling because I didn't want to be influenced by it. So the books that I can recommend, it's so funny that you say that because I actually have a stack in front of me. I'm just going to grab them.
Yes.
Let's see. Oh yeah, here's the other one. Okay, so I'll talk about two. one of them, and actually, one of the tentacles of Spirit House Collective is Gifts for the Spirit. And we just put these up on Gifts for the Spirit because people really want to know how they can connect. So the first book you mentioned, which is You Are Psychic, which is amazing. It's by Deborah Lynn Katz, and she has a ton of really wonderful exercises to use to start activating your clairvoyance, your clairaudience, all of your psychic potential, because that's what's going to connect you to your guides anyway. And another book that she has, I mean, I love all of her books, is Extraordinary Psychic, which is
also
really
by Deborah Lynn Katz.
I'm a fan. What can I say?
Fangirl.
And the other book that I was just going back to this yesterday. It's like all beaten up, but it's The Intuitive Way. And there's just so much information here on learning how to trust and work on your intuition, which is the connection to basically all of these gifts anyway, that I can't recommend it enough. I mean, my copy is like, I've highlighted everything. I found myself the other day going, oh, wow. Like, even though I've already read this like a million times, but, your intuition is constantly evolving and growing. There's so much you can do. It's like, it's literally unlimited, possibilities. So those are my recommendations, just to get, like, not even just get in the door, but whatever level that you're at.
Yeah, great. I'm gonna look up that Penny Pierce someone's written. Yeah, awesome. I also am just such a sucker for like a slightly dated or like retro looking new age book cover. Oh, it just takes my breath away.
Yes. And also their websites also, like, you kind of just like, you just know exactly the decade they're coming from, and they're not easy to navigate, but there's a lot of color.
Yeah.
I love it's really cool to see some of the pioneers of that time and how far we've come, and especially in terms of accessibility and acceptance with the work that we do.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, having like conversations like this so easily, like through social media, is like pretty incredible. Like, I don't know what people did before this. I guess they were just in like secret societies where they like shared knowledge.
Yeah. Yes. And share it with their friends or family. Like, it's just it's an honor to have been born in this lifetime.
Yep. Well, I mean, how long have we been chatting? Half an hour. It feels like 5 minutes. I could seriously sit here all day, but also, you have places to be, and I need to lay down on the couch for a while. Yeah, it's just,
Yeah.
But thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I know that everybody here is like getting so much from just the short amount of information that you've shared. And obviously there's so much more of that on the podcast. Everybody, if you haven't listened to this episode, Asia does live channeling with her spirit guides. So you can actually, the last question I asked you on the episode was, what messages do your guides want to share for everybody listening right now? And they talked about fear, and we recorded that episode at the end of December with no real idea of what was coming. And listening back to it's really quite powerful how much it resonates for us today. So everybody check it out.
Aww.
Asia is a queen. Go follow her now. Yes, very true. Very, very true. Thank you for sharing that comment. But yeah, thank you, Asia. Such a fan. Appreciate you and all the work that you do, not just with one-on-one people and settings like this, but Gifts for the Spirit, the Spirit House Collective, Spirit House family. The tentacles are spreading far and wide, and it's a beautiful community that you're nurturing. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. And I don't know if you can hear me because I'm frozen. Am I still frozen?
You can your visuals are, yes. Yeah, I can see you too.
I think it's really important to be educated about the work that we're doing, so it's not shrouded in in bullshit, basically, and fear, and stereotypes that don't exist anymore and we don't need to perpetuate. So I really appreciate that. I love you. I think you're incredible, and I can't wait to see you again in person and continue our own relationship, and for all of this to continue to grow. And thank you to everyone who showed up.
Yeah, thank you everybody for watching, and sending Asia and everybody else a virtual hug.
Mwah, mwah.
Mwah, mwah. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.